Hi everyone, I'm Robert Moody. I'm the music director of the Portland Symphony Orchestra, and I am talking to you right now about the second Sunday classical program in our 2015-2016 season. Second is going to take a little bit of a lead in the theme when we think about the thread of connection in the works on this concert. It's the second program for the Sunday classical. We are playing the Brahms second piano concerto. We are playing Stravinsky's second great ballet, Petrushka. So there's a nice connection to that, but also, and more importantly, there's a great array of music for you, a wonderful variety, and a lot of excitement on this concert. You might be interested to know how programming comes about. One of the things we've been doing for the past few years with the Portland Symphony is something that I have called the Orchestra Brainstorming Shout-Out Session. So every spring I have a meeting with the full orchestra. We usually order pizza, we sit together, and while eating pizza we put up a flip chart and orchestra members just begin calling out the names of pieces that they would really like to play. I ask them, I say, tell us about artists that you're interested in coming to be soloists with the orchestra. Tell us about new composers, maybe new composers that I've never heard of, etc. So that's actually how the first piece on this concert came about. We were having this orchestra brainstorming session when our principal violist, Lori Kennedy, raised her hand and she said to me, have you ever heard of the living female composer Cynthia Wong? To which I said, no, I haven't. And Lori said, well, you should know about her. She is really tremendous, and I actually have a bit of a connection to her. I did the research myself, found out she's a phenomenal composer, and we chose a piece of hers called Carnival Fever. Carnival Fever was commissioned for the New World Symphony and the San Francisco Symphony, commissioned by the great conductor Michael Tilson Thomas, and we will be doing one of the very early performances of this new work. Now back to the idea of seconds. We are performing the Brahms second concerto for piano. Brahms wrote these two incredible concertos for piano. The first piano concerto we've performed in the past few years with the Portland Symphony Orchestra is much more like one of his symphonies. In fact, he actually began writing the first concerto, the material he intended to be a symphony, and it evolved into the piano concerto. The second concerto behaves very differently. Instead of concerto where the piano plays lengthy romantic statements, lengthy phrases, with then interjection or response from the orchestra, instead this conversation is much more rapid fire. 2, 3, 4-note motives passed from piano back to orchestra again and again. Instead of a long lobbing tennis match between two parties, orchestra and piano, it's more like a rapid-fire ping-pong match. Really an incredible amount of energy in this piece. We have one of the greatest pianists and one of the greatest interpreters of Brahms playing today, Bill Wolfram. William Wolfram is a renowned pianist. He is a great statesman of Brahms. He is a beloved favorite of so many orchestras and conductors, and I'm so happy that we get to bring him here to join us for the Brahms second concerto. Now, also in this idea of seconds comes the final piece in the concert, Stravinsky's Petrushka. We're going to play for you the ballet music from the second great ballet that he gave us. You may know that Stravinsky came to prominence in 1910, 1911, 1912. In those years, he was living in France, a Russian composer, but he was living and working in France, and he wrote for Sergei Diaghilev, the great ballet impresario. He wrote 3 ballets in a row, The Firebird, Petrushka, and The Rite of Spring. We're playing the second of those, Petrushka. Petrushka is a story of puppets, and it's actually a story that made its way throughout all of Europe. This puppet, Petrushka, has various names. In Italy, he's called Pulcinella, for example. But he's always a puppet who gets into a bit of trouble. He's mischievous. He plays pranks almost to the point of dirty pranks on people, and he always seems to be thwarted by love. In the Stravinsky story of Petrushka, Petrushka is very much in love with a woman. He pours out his heart to her. He tries to win her over, but there is a Moor, a Spanish Moor, who takes her from him. He eventually is killed by the Spanish Moor, and his ghost comes back and haunts the festivities. It all takes place around a Russian carnival. So it starts off at the Shrovetide Fair, and there are sort of different carnival acts happening as they're running around the festivities, and the puppets are getting into all sorts of mischief. It's phenomenal music. It's one of the greatest chances for you to hear orchestral color. I think of the orchestra sometimes as the world's greatest synthesizer because of the combination of colors of sounds that can come from the instruments. There begins to be no limit to the types of timbre that we can create. This piece demonstrates that better than just about any work I know. Fantastic piece. The number 2 is connected to this concert a lot, and a lot of just great energy behind each work. See you at the concert.